I'm gonna start. I'm Melbourne, and I'm 11 a.m.
Okay, I am in
Bobby?
Singapore 9 a.m. 9 a.m. here in Singapore, so we are bright and early. Yes, indeed.
Yes, we are. Now, as usual, it seems to be that the world that we live in, the photography slash filmmaking world, it doesn't stop, does it, Bobby?
No,
It just
it
does
doesn't.
not stop.
It does, and it's continuing to go on. We had a big week. A lot of things happening. Obviously, NAB going on in Las Vegas, my hometown, which I wasn't there, unfortunately, for that one. But I never know. Maybe next year we can. Maybe we'll get invited, Matt. You never know. You never know. Stranger
Well,
things
it's
have
about
happened.
time.
Yeah, right. We should get invited.
Yeah, but we damn well should. When is our junket? You know, when is our junket? I'm ready. I'm ready for my junket.
I know, me too, me too. But yeah, a lot of the big news out there. Obviously, Blackmagic announcing DaVinci Resolve 20 or
Yeah.
Beta 20, and then obviously the new Blackmagic cameras, all that kind of fun stuff. Lots of new lights, as we always see, always new innovations. Anything, Matt, that struck out to you when you saw that, when you were watching some of the news?
Oh well, I was just reading on completely different other news that Leica seems to have said that the baseline Leica M11 is now no longer, and this is in order to make space for new ideas. How about that, Bobby? What were we talking about just last week? What was it? The V or the E? The Leica M11 VE EVF.
Yeah, obviously the rumored V, the EVFM, if it is true or not. Yeah, I don't know what the going ons on this were. I did ask some of my friends, and everybody's very hush hush. They didn't really say that it was discontinued. They just said, well, yeah. They basically just kept mum. So yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously there's still the M11P, there's the M11D. And obviously, if they have any other special editions in the M11 lineup, they will have that. Obviously, this EVFM is very tight-lipped, if it is even true. I don't want to say that it is or not because I don't know, but they are extremely tight-lipped. A lot of the leakers or the rumor mill has been kind of quiet on it. So I'm interested to see if this is actually going to come to fruition. But obviously, the Leica rumors were saying 2 weeks, or from I think whatever they were talking about, a couple of weeks, whatever the case may be. I don't think that's the case. Otherwise, I think we would get more rumors already at this point in time. As you know, you get closer to a launch, more things come out. So I'm not too sure we're going to be seeing that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. It's very exciting, and for Leica M11 owners, you know, hey, you'll be able to get a new one already. Spend another, in this country, another $15,000, $16,000.
Yeah,
but anyway,
it's a beautiful thing here. Yeah, it is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. I'd like to say good day to Roger, Jim, Rad, Anthony, Jay, Rakesh. Thank you all for joining us and being in the comments. We've got Jay is in Washington, Roger is in Indianapolis. Jim, I'm not sure where Jim is, but welcome for all corners of the world. Honestly, do we know what time it is in London? It's probably really late in London. This is probably a bad time for London. Sorry, London.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's very hard to match up with everything and everybody all around the world. But yes, speaking about DaVinci Resolve, it's funny, for the first time ever, I've been trying to actually edit with it because I'm trying to edit footage from the Komodo X, and of course, when you want to work with Nikon RAW, it's kind of the only way to do it, and it's a bit of a learning curve, Bobby, getting into working with DaVinci.
Yeah, it
from
is,
Final
right?
Cut Pro, that is.
Oh yeah, it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference on that. I mean, I will tell you right now, for me, that I can say that it is a massive, massive difference. But I haven't tried 20. I've downloaded 20. I haven't really got into it yet. But I'm hoping that I love magnetic timelines. I don't know about you, but that to me is one of the reasons why I use Final Cut. It's just so easy to edit, and obviously the effects and the transitions and everything in DaVinci Resolve Studio especially are phenomenal. The AI software is great, and especially now with the new masking, it does seem to be a lot easier. But I just miss magnetic timeline, and I like to be able to use my trackpad and zoom in and out on the timeline as I want. But with Resolve, it's still very manual, having to go to the slider, go back and forth. If you guys know any way that I can expedite this, that would be great. But that's why I keep going back to Final Cut. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think you suggested to me kind of do your grading in DaVinci and then move back to Final Cut. So that's kind of where I'm working at. And I'm sorry, I jumped away from Leica before I should have. I also would like to note that it would seem we're getting more third-party lenses for the L-mount Alliance, which I'm pretty excited about. And I'm excited to see a lens from Seven Artisans coming for the L-mount Alliance, which is their 50mm 1.8, which I've actually reviewed for the Z mount, and it's just a great little lens. So this is really going to help, you know, I suppose Sigma and Leica as well as Lumix, you know, just seeing more third-party glass. Because when I first got my S5 2X, there really wasn't a lot around, but it seems to be happening now, Bobby. And it's good. It's good to be able to review it as well.
Yeah, you know, interesting. I don't know if they are officially part of the L-mount Alliance or if they're just doing some reverse engineering because I don't see them listed there. And I would find that, I mean, Seven Artisans makes great lenses, don't get me wrong, but I find it odd that Viltrox isn't there, but Seven Artisans is. You know what I mean? So I feel like maybe they've just sort of done an L-mount, a general L-mount adaptation, or maybe a reverse engineering, so to speak. And then maybe they're just trying to showcase what they can do. And then Leica sees it or Panasonic sees it and says, okay, good, come on board. So I don't know. We'll find out. But it is good to see more L-mount glass coming out. I think this is going to be a big year for Panasonic. Speaking of which, I just, I mean, obviously been testing out the S1R2, which is it's a fantastic camera, guys. And the pre-orders in Singapore, which is not a big Panasonic market, from what I understand, it's doing very, very, very well, exceeded expectations, and I think in other countries around Southeast Asia as well. Because as you're seeing a big push in North America for Lumix, and in Europe and other parts of the world, Asia is still it's still a bit of a challenge in Southeast Asia, which is still a very big market for cameras. But we are seeing, I'm hearing a very big uptick in terms of interest and pre-orders. So that's great news. And I think that just expands the L-mount Alliance even further, which is absolutely awesome.
And do you think that's due to the spec and the, you know, I mean, obviously this camera is sitting somewhere around an R5 II, an A1, a Z8, you know, it's that sort of level of camera, but it's obviously, I think, the most affordable of all four of those cameras. Yeah. Is that why you think it's doing well? Because it's highly spec'd and well priced?
Yes, I think that's part of it. I also think that, you know, you got to give it to Lumix. They've done a really good job marketing and getting it out there and getting more people talking about the S5 2X, S5 II, you know, the S9 even as well. You have to give credit to those cameras because even before the S1R2, there's already been buzz out there. And I think the autofocus now is phase detect, which has always been a hiccup for a lot of people. And I think that kind of deterred people from the S1, S1R, S1H, you know, in some respects. S1H is a different beast altogether. But I think the phase detect autofocusing, now that it's implemented, is a big draw for people. And obviously bringing the price down on the cameras to make it, like you mentioned, very attractive with a lot of great features, open gate video, fantastic colors, you know, now, you know, small, compact. I mean, it's a great little powerhouse of a camera. We've talked about this so many times on camera and off camera. And the S1R2 continues that with even more, even better features. And so, yeah, I think that's a lot to do with it. Then also, you know, Leica also pushing the SL3 as well. Then you got the BF and Sigma with their lenses. So I think this is going to be a very big year for L-mount Alliance. I think this may be the sleeper hit. By the time we're done of 2025, I think a lot more people will be going, hey, wait a second. Sony's great. Nikon is great. Canon is great, but a little bit more conservative now on the launches. And the L-mount Alliance is picking up steam. And I would see them really becoming very, very popular by the end of the year.
Yeah, so I mean, this circles back to where we jumped into this, that look, from my perspective, having third-party lens options, I also think helps make a mount more popular because not everybody wants to buy first party. So yeah, you're right. Not only have they got great product coming out in the way of cameras, but we're getting a few more options when it comes to lens offerings, because obviously the Leica L-mount lenses, there are Leica L-mount lenses, right? And they're very expensive. So
yes, they are.
Now speaking of lenses, we've got a Sony rumor spec of a 50 to 150 f2 GM lens, which is going to weigh 1.3 kilos, which is a lot.
That's about the size of the Viltrox. It's about the size of the Viltrox 135, right? About the same size, about the same weight.
Yes, which still happens to be sitting on my desk here, just by sheer coincidence. So yeah, you're right. It's not that heavy. And as the rumor states, it's going to be similar to the 35 to 150 f2. So I'm guessing by that it just simply, it's not going to be a fixed f2. It's not going to be f2 at 150. Surely not.
You never know.
Because
you
the
never
Tamron
know.
one, well, at that weight though, and it's 20 centimeters long, so it's about that long. It is suggested that it'll be 4,400 euros. That's a lot of coin. So that's a deluxe lens, isn't it, Bobby?
That is an f2 lens, my friend. That is an f2 lens. Because if it was an f2 to 2.8, I don't think it would be that much. So I'm guessing it may be an f2 straight across, which would be quite amazing to see that. And if you look at Sony's lenses, I mean, that's the one thing you got to say in terms of the mirrorless lineup. And I think Panasonic and Sony have done a great job with this, is really keeping their lenses compact with a lot of great performance. And, I wouldn't be surprised to see it. But I don't want to say too much, but I think some of the rumors that Sony Alpha Rumors is putting out right now are incorrect on certain things. But I will just leave it at that.
Yes. Okay. Fair enough. We'll leave it at that then. Now, Amrit is asking, he says, sir, any chances for a Z7 II? I just bought a Z. I think he's saying a Z7 III. Yes. I think the Z7. Yes. Okay. Well, yeah, look, I made a video about this, and I feel like when you look at the Z7 II and then you look at the Z8, they're kind of two 45 megapixel cameras that are kind of, butting up against each other. One's sort of the slower 45 megapixel camera that will give you everything you could possibly want if you're not doing high-end bird in flight and maybe some action scenarios, but it will actually cover a lot. The Z8 is obviously much faster and covers the action end of the spectrum. Is there any space in there for another 45 megapixel camera between the Z7 II and the Z8? I kind of feel like there's not. And so in my video, I said, look, I think it needs to do something different, which is either 16-bit, which I think sounds great, but I'm just not sure it'll ever happen, at 45 or whatever megapixels in the 35 mil space, that is. I think it could happen in small, medium format and other spaces. Or we simply go higher res, and that's somewhere between an A7R5, like 60 megapixels, 80 megapixels, and obviously XPEED 7. But I just think there needs to be a point of differentiation, Amrit. I just think it being another 45 megapixel camera, we don't actually need it. I mean, you can still get a Z7, a Z7 II, a Z8, and a Z9. They're essentially all very similar. Bobby, your thoughts? Yeah,
I kind of agree. I agree with you on this. I don't think there's going to be another 45 megapixel camera. And Amrit, I mean, look, don't regret the purchase. I mean, look, if anything's going to happen, let's say this. Let's say there is a rumored Z7 III or Z7 III. I don't think it's going to come out anytime soon. So that's number one. Number two, you probably will see enhanced autofocusing like you're going to get out of the Z6 III, the Z8, the Z9, Z5 II, respectively. But the Z7 II is still a fantastic camera for image quality. And if your primary goal is the best image quality, arguably out of all the Nikon cameras right now, I think the Z7 II is right up there with it. I mean, even though it doesn't have the fastest sensor in terms of compared to the Z8 and Z9, it is still a phenomenal sensor for dynamic range and image quality. And you've got a great camera in your hands, really. I mean, again, it's about image quality with that camera, with the Z7. The Z8 and Z9 are faster cameras, we know that, but they're 45 megapixels. But if there is a Z6 III coming out, I mean, who knows? There'll probably be new sensor tech by then because, look, the A7R5 sensor, Z7 III, like the A7R5 sensor and the A7R4 sensor are the same sensor respectively, and it's been out for a number of years. So I would expect that maybe Nikon is probably waiting for the next generation of higher resolution sensors. Again, we don't know, right? There is no rumor, all speculation, but I'm guessing that they will probably wait for something a little bit faster and a little bit more versatile before jumping into the sensor that's been out for a number of years. That's just my take.
Fantastic. Now, Jay Blue, and g'day, Joe. Thanks for joining us. Jay Blue is asking, Matt, I'm sure you'll have a detailed Viltrox 135 comparison with Planet. Yes, definitely. Those videos, they're the hardest videos to make because you've got to get it all right. But what's the summary of your thinking? Okay, good yeah, point.
Matt, what happened? Where was version 2 of this video? Because you promised us weeks ago, and you kind of went off on these tangents. What happened, Matt? What happened?
Well, look, Bobby, I will offer you a full refund, of course. Now, to answer Roger's question, no, Jay's question, I deliberately made the decision to not compare the lenses when I was doing the Viltrox review because I thought, this lens deserves to have a review in its own right, in its own merit, because, of course, the price difference is so huge that alone it says just, and plus it's lens, it deserves its own celebration and its own party when it comes out. Totally fine. So thus the reason I'm saying that is I've never actually put them side by side, and it's difficult for me to answer the question. But some of the things, and it's been a while, and gosh, we work on a lot of content, don't we, Bobby? We have so many things running in parallel. Like the number of lenses I have on my desk at the moment that I'm working on is like 6. And I was working on that lens review about probably a month ago now. Anyway, doesn't matter. The Planner is, it's brighter on the edges, it's sharper on the edges. The bokeh is better on the edges, things like that. But we're talking, at 90% versus 100%. If you know what I mean when I say that, Bobby, and everybody else. And I really don't want to actually say too much until we have them side by side. I think both lenses are amazing performers. Some people prefer first class. Some people are happy to pay for, first party, not a first class, although it's a bit like that, isn't it? Versus third party. And I don't think you can go wrong. This is the thing. You can't go wrong with either of them. It's just if you want the best of the best, it's there. But anyway, let me make the review, and it will come as soon as I can. Now, Jay, are you in a hurry to buy one? How quickly do I need to move? Just give me a sense of that. Maybe just a little wink of your eye or something, or just write it in the comments. Bobby, you've played with both of these lenses. What's your feelings?
I mean, I would say, looking back at the images, because I don't have the Plano with me, but I had, looking back at my Lightroom images, I would say you're probably right in terms of the bokeh and around the edges of the image. You know what I mean? That the Plano may be slightly superior. But I think for most people out there who aren't pixel peeping, you would be hard pressed to tell the difference on, just side by side. You really have to look at the differences side by side on images and go, okay, here's the Plano as being superior. But I think it really does pose a challenge to Nikon saying, okay, obviously it's a first party lens versus a third party lens. There have been some firmware updates to the 135 1.8 in terms of autofocusing. Now I'm talking about the E mount. I don't have the Z mount to try to say that, but I would say that the differences probably are negligible. At best. I mean, it's really that good. You have to give Viltrox credit. They've done a fantastic job with it for the price point. You know what I mean? If you want that 10% difference and that 10% means a lot to you, then you go Plano and you call it a day. Beautiful lens, arguably one of my favorite lenses in the Nikon lineup, hands down. When I had that lens, I just absolutely enjoyed using it, and I wish I had it back. I really do. I mean, it's not something I would use every day, but the times that I had it, I really loved how it worked. It just was absolutely gorgeous. But you got to give it to Viltrox. They've done a phenomenal job. Yes, sir.
I have remembered one thing now, because it has been so. There was a difference in the IBIS control between the two, which I will show it. But the IBIS control, and it really only presents itself more in video than in stills. But the IBIS, and this is obviously the way the lens is communicating with the body. And again, I presume I had a pre-production lens. They certainly talked to me about making more firmware in the time that I was working with the lens. And I did mention it in my video. So that is probably the only thing that was actually a more than a 10% difference for me. But,
Have you tried updating the lens?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I haven't updated it since I made that video. I will update it when I make a comparison video. Of course I will. Now, to circle back to another question that came in before from Roger, here's a wacky idea for the Z7 III. Make it a 45 megapixel retro body or a 24 megapixel in a Z8 body style. Discuss. He'd like us to discuss that. So, Roger, I made a video suggesting this very idea about 2 weeks ago, which I can't remember whether it was a 45 or a 60 megapixel, basically. What did I call it? A ZF? I think I call it a ZFR. So it was like high res.
That's a great name, actually. That is a very good name. They should do that.
Yeah. And so this is basically a high res ZF, and that could become, you know, potentially the Z7 III replacement. Now, some people push back on that, saying, "Well, I don't really want ZF ergonomics," you know, and I actually said in the video, yes, could we tweak the ergonomics a little bit over the current ZF so it can kind of meet in the middle between a Z7 II and a current ZF. So, yes, Roger, I too like that idea. And the reason I thought of it, and it wasn't because it wasn't about me, it wasn't for me. A lot of what I try and think about when I'm speculating is what's good for the company, because we have to realize it's got to be good for the company to make it, because they're the ones that have got to spend, you know, what, $10-50 million in R&D, bring it to market, and then hopefully sell a couple of copies, right? So, and I'm thinking, well, where's a good place? Because, you know, do I need that camera? No, I don't need it, but I can see if you want to get into, say, some of the Fuji market share, and you're sort of doing your version of an XT5, but you're doing it full frame. So yeah, it's sort of a hybrid kind of hobbyist, maybe not going to be used as professionally, but it can be. This is the crazy thing. Your ZF might look like a toy because it's bright orange like mine, but it's not. It's built beautifully. It's got amazing weather sealing. And this segues us nicely over, Bobby, to the fact that, and it's got great firmware updates, and it just got bird detect, so you can actually take it into the field. Did you like that segue, Bobby?
I love that segue. I was going with that. I was waiting for that to come into play, Matt. Yes, firmware 2.0, massive update. By the way, just going to this, I wouldn't mind the ergonomics of an F3 with a 45 megapixel sensor. Call it a day. F3R, done. Okay, but yes, let's talk about firmware 2.0, ZF. Basically ZF2 in essence, right? It's almost it's almost like a new camera, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it's the sort of thing that back in the day, like I keep reciting the idea that I bought a D3 in, like, you know, a Nikon D3 in 2007 or whenever it was. And then in order to get the update, which was like a slight increase in dynamic range and ISO performance and a slight increase in frame rates, I had to buy a whole new camera, and it cost me another $10,000. Whereas today, Nikon give us more in a firmware update than we used to get in an entire new camera purchase. Yeah. And yes, there's a lot of things like bird detect, which is very exciting for some people. Video features, stills features, lots of ergonomics changes around how you can control the ISO button, lots of different bits and pieces. It's great. I mean, it's great to have that level of support. And interestingly also, you know, Nikon's been trickling out. They just keep thinking of new things to do, like, you know, product mode, which we've obviously seen in other brands, but we haven't seen it in Nikon before. And so that trickles out to cameras. Now, it didn't make it to this update to the ZF, but it is making it to some of the other cameras. So, you know, I mean, firmware is complicated, and they keep making it more complicated. Like, the more things they add in, the harder it is, and the more things that you can break, right? I don't know if you're aware, they introduced the ability to connect to these Bluetooth time code. You basically could control the time code across multiple Z cameras using this little Bluetooth device, right? And it was made, it's called the Blue, I can't remember its name. It's made by Atomos. But it broke the ability to use the MCM10 remote control. Like how obscure. I suspect 1 in 10,000 people have that remote control, right? It'd be very rare for people to use the Bluetooth thing and have that thing, but that was a conflict. And now they've actually rolled out, they've just very quietly in all these firmware updates, bug fixes to that, right? And that came in this update. So the more things they add, the more complicated it gets, and then they've got to deal with it. But look, it's just great. I mean, what's your favorite part of? Because you've got a black ZF, Bobby. So you'd be
no, I don't. No, that was just on loan. That was just on loan for the time I had it. Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were black and you were never going back. What happened?
Well, I wanted a blue one. I wanted a blue one, and I just didn't pull the trigger on it. I just had so many other things that were coming on across my plate. But I love the ZF. I really do. And it is a camera that I'm definitely considering. But I would say the one thing I like about it is obviously the imaging cloud, being able to upload your images to Lightroom or Google Drive or whatever the case may be. That's cool. Having those of, what do they call the recipes, or every brand's got a different. I forget Nikon's exact name for it.
The imaging recipes.
Yes, imaging recipes, right? That's very cool because that works well with this. I do find it odd though. I mean, we've talked about this offline, that of all the cameras that could get bird detect, it's a ZF and not the Z6 III. We've talked about it, but that's just the one thing. I mean, I would say that's the funny thing to me, is because this camera is not, you're not putting a 400 4.5 on this camera system. You're just not. I mean, you can, of course you can. It's a Z mount, but yeah, but I would venture to say I don't think I'm going to be seeing people at the park with all these massive, birding regs coming up with a ZF and a 400 4.5 or a 600. But it's cool that they have it there. But maybe you want to shoot pigeons. I don't know. Pigeons around your neighborhood, then it works. I don't know.
Yeah, look, it's interesting. In my video, someone said, "Fantastic! I was going to go out and shoot birds this weekend with my ZF, and now I've got bird detect." So there's actually people that exist, but I would agree it would be a smaller end of the ZF market is probably birders. But it's interesting, and I agree with the logic of that, which says to me that it will come basically to all X-Speed 7 cameras. That's what I think, based on the fact that it's I think I haven't checked this, but I think it's on all of them now, except for the Z6 III. So it's just a matter of time. Hold it. My alarm's about to go off. I think it's just about to happen. No, maybe not quite that soon. We did have another QQQ, which I've got to scroll back to. Z-Way, don't fall asleep, buddy. I know you've had a big day, but we need you, man. We need your humor and wit and just general awesomeness. So hang in there, buddy. I hope you're still there. Just show us signs of life. Where did that QQQ go? I've completely lost it in the...
same here, guys.
Maybe it disappeared. Oh, there it is. Roger. Could ergonomics be the new megapixel differentiator in the camera? Well... For those who followed my channel for a while, you know how I feel about ergonomics. I got big muttons. I got big hands, and look, in genuine real terms, if you're shooting, whether it's a wedding or whether you're on location for, you're a unit shooter on a movie like Bobby's been part of. He would have had photographers hanging around all day long, shooting over his shoulder while he's in a scene. You're basically there, and there's lots of scenarios where you're holding cameras all day. Like I've worked festivals where your camera's in your hand for 15 hours and you get like an hour off that whole 15 hours. Ergonomics is absolutely critical for comfort and fatigue. But then it's also interesting things like, where's the power button? Because if you're shooting all day long, you want to conserve your battery. So I've got this, as soon as digital cameras came along, I've got this automatic routine that I just... If I know I'm not shooting, I just flick that switch. I'm still holding the camera. I don't have to change my grip. I can have the camera by my side and I can have it up to my face, switch, and by the time it gets to my eyeball, I'm ready to shoot again. So ergonomics also help you get ready to shoot quickly. And then I don't know, here I am on a camera camera stream, and I only have one camera with me. But here's the S5 IIX. And, function buttons here. Like to me, I don't have to do anything new, and I'm pressing a function button and I'm shooting and I'm controlling the aperture and I'm not moving my hands as in away. So yes, in real terms, ergonomics actually save lives. You know what I'm saying?
They do.
Bobby, ergonomics, talk to me. Oh, I got balloons, man. I got balloons.
Celebration, man.
I don't know how.
Ecamm likes your ergonomic speech. Actually, I agree with you. Ergonomics are a big factor. I mean, it's a very big factor, especially on set, on location for a long period of time. But there's a balance between size and ergonomics. And, I've been on film sets where I've seen people use Fujifilm, XT4s, XT3s, capturing stills on set. It's still small, compact, easy to carry around. And like you said, I'm the same way you are. I turn off the power when I'm not using the camera. I don't let it go to sleep mode, because you move around. Sometimes the sensors on a camera will wake it up, and all of a sudden you've got a flat battery and you're going, hey, what happened to me? And you realize, like, just this way that the gyrometers or whatever the sensors are in these cameras, how it activates. So I'm the same way, but ergonomics are a big factor. I mean, that's why I like to have. I like vertical grips on a lot of my cameras, even though it adds size to them. It just feels really good. And like I've been testing the 300 to 600 by Sigma, right? I mean, you need good ergonomics with that lens because it's friggin' heavy, but you need it. So,
Friggin' man,
dude, it is actually. It'll be in my
come
video.
on,
That might be one.
give us one of these, Bobby. Give us one of these.
I'm like this
Show
right
us
now.
you've got the guns for it.
But it's really crazy. But yeah, I just want to give a couple of shout outs. There's some people new to this the stream here. Brandon Coleman, what up, Bobby? Hello, Brandon. The Cookie Man, he says, "Hey, Bobby, see you at Rice Ball." That's Matt. If you ever come back to Singapore, I'm going to take you to this camera shop here. All the vintage stuff. They've got some good Nikon stuff in there right now. You know that underwater Nikon camera? What is it called? The
Nikonos.
Yes, they've got the 2 and the 3 in mint condition. Yes.
Mint condition.
Yeah.
I like how you said that. Interestingly, have you noted that the Nikonos coloring is orange, which is obviously for the fact that they're underwater and you don't want to lose it, right? It makes perfect sense. So all I'm saying is I love the coloring.
Yeah,
that's all.
Very cool.
I always wanted one, and then I ended up buying a water housing for like my D810. And that, and it cost me like, I don't know, $3 or $4 or something ridiculous for a D810 and a 24-70. And then they released the D850 and it was like, it doesn't fit it anymore. And I'm like, oh God, this is so. And then I just got out of underwater housings at that point. It's all too much. Now, of course, everybody, please make sure you're giving us a like and a subscribe if you haven't to either Bobby or my channel. Please give us the QQQs below. We're wanting to have a chat with you as much as we're wanting to have a chat with each other. That's part of why we're here and part of why we're alive, baby. And Dive, hi, Bobby.
Yes.
He's asking you a question. Can I ask you that question on his behalf? Hi, Bobby. Do you still have your monochrome camera?
Do I have a monochrome camera? Well, I only have film cameras. I don't have a monochrome Leica camera, unfortunately. I was only on for a loan. It's something that I've been thinking about getting for quite some time, but I did not pick one up yet. But it is one of my favorite M cameras of all time is the monochrome. So no, I don't own one. And I know you were a crazy good pitcher and could potentially go pro. So talented.
Are you baseball, Bobby?
I used to play baseball back in the day. Yeah, back in the day, man. Long time ago.
Holy,
yeah,
dude, you've done everything.
Well, I'm up there in the years, so yeah. Thank you for that.
You're not a day over 37. I tell you, you don't even look. You don't even look that. You've got some elixir of life, Dorian Gray. Something's going on.
It's called humidity here in Singapore.
It's true. It keeps you fresh. That's a good point.
It does. But no, yeah. Baseball was fun, man. I really enjoyed it. It was a big part of my life for a number of years, and unfortunately, I tore my rotator cuff in 2 places. Rehabbed back, but it just wasn't the same. So yeah, the baseball career was cut short. But as is life, you learn from these things. Some of us are born with gifted genetics, and some of us we have to struggle a little bit. I was on the struggling side of it, but I learned a lot from it. And I don't follow baseball as much today, but it is. I look back on those years with a lot of fond memories. But it was a lot of hours of practice, man. Holy shit, a lot of hours of practice. I did not have a break in school because when you play baseball in school, you don't, before even the year starts, you're already on the field practicing and you're all throughout it the entire year. So, yeah. And then,
Bobby, so that's really, that's quite a big deal. So you were sort of heading towards pro and then you had an injury.
Yeah. Yeah, I was being scouted by a couple.
How old were you when that happened? I know this is not photography, but bear with us.
Yeah, it's okay. I think it was 17 when I first had a tear in my rotator cuff. And, one doctor wanted to do surgery. Another one says, don't do it because you're out for a year. And it was like going to my senior year of high school. But I did have some pro teams. I think it was the Minnesota, it was the Oakland A's in Minnesota was looking at me. The Minnesota Twins were looking at me back in the day. This is obviously, we're not talking major league, but you go through the farm, you go through, single A, double A, triple A, but I was being looked at, right? But when you do hurt your shoulder, it does sort of put you on the back end of it. So scouts just kind of like say, okay, we'll see how you rehab back. And I went from throwing about a 78 mile an hour fastball when I was injured to about 90 when I was recovered. And so that put me in, I was a lefty. So that put me in a really good position to be looked at by scouts. But that injury kind of came back, and yeah, I just was like, all right, that's it. These are the cards that life dealt me, and that is what it is.
So my last question on this, because for the rest of the world that doesn't follow baseball, what's a fast pitch speed? You said you got up to 90, which is very fast. Like that's 150 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, usually when you get started, scouts will start looking at you when you're in the mid 80s to high 80s, especially as a lefty, because lefties aren't known to throw as fast as right-handers. I don't know why, just maybe it is. But you can get it when you're in the mid 90s. I mean, you're probably going to the major leagues right away, or very close to it. AAA major leagues. Wow. Low 90s, high 80s, you're being looked at. Quite, and especially if you can move the ball, place it where you want, curveball, slider, change up, how to actually work your pitching very well, then you're going to be looked at. So yeah, I mean, it was great to throw that fast. I was like, this is awesome, man. My arm's back. And then it just the injury came back. So it is what it is.
I'm sorry, Bobby. Anyway,
okay.
moving back to cameras. Yeah, I mean, it's 30 years ago now or something like that. Anyway, QQQ. Do you think the partially stacked sensor, this is Robert. Hi, Robert. Thank you for being here. Welcome. Do you think the partially stacked sensor in the Z6 III could be the reason the bird focus is slow coming? Yeah, so I've got a whole video and a theory about this, and rather than deep dive back into that, because we talked about it last week, what I will say is an interesting coincidence is that we've had... So in the XP7 range, there are only 3 24 megapixel cameras. We've got the ZF, which is 18 months ago. We've got the Z5 II, which just came out, and we've got the Z6 III, which is about 9 months ago. It's only in the last week that we've had Bird Detect added to 2 of the 3 24 megapixel cameras in the range. So my theory is part of the theory is that 24 is different to 45. It's just a different set of code for whatever reasons, and we're not coders and we don't understand the AI and the machine. I have not been able to find anybody or anything that explains how this stuff is actually created in detail. And so I think that's part of it. And I also think it's just to do with the development cycle. And I'm actually going to make a video about this, even if only 7 people watch it, because I'm quite passionate about how difficult it is to do this, and how when you're running, let's think about, there's something like 7 XP7 cameras now, something like, and they are running firmware, like update. They seem to be updating all of them. Like that, we get updates for all of them. And if you think you're either running that in parallel with little teams, or you're not, you're running it in serial, which means you do one and then you do the next with a larger team. Either way, it's crazy complicated stuff, and the fact that we get it is amazing. And yeah, look, that might be making it harder. I doubt it. I think pixels are probably still pixels, whether they're stacked or not, or semi-stacked. But I do think there are other reasons. I'll make a video about it. Unless we don't need to talk about it more now, do we, Bobby? It's totally fine.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. I mean, I have I think the team on the Z6 III just needs. I think honestly, it's the users that just need to be emailing Nikon, hitting them on their social media, letting them know, hey, we want this. For those birders who want it, let them know. And I think that they will. They'll get back to the office. They'll just get that code in there and get it going, because right now it just doesn't make much sense from a consumer standpoint that this camera that obviously, when they were doing some of the marketing, they were kind of targeting wildlife and kind of, more outdoors photography, doesn't have it. But I mean, we've talked about this at length, you know what I mean? So we'll figure it out. We'll all figure it out. Got a couple good.
All good things come. All good things come to those who wait. Yeah,
that's true. Got a couple questions here. QQQ from Raymond. Did Bobby say he's a lefty? Yes, I'm a left-hander. I'm a lefty.
I think Ray might be making a political joke there. I'm not sure. But he might be.
Right. No. Yeah. Okay. We don't go into politics on this channel, but no. I'm a little bit
away from that.
Yeah. I'm only lefty in terms of how I throw baseball. Yeah.
Yeah. I did have a little note, part of my notes, to just talk about not tariffs from a political perspective, but simply from a business perspective, and how, wow, what a roller coaster ride we've been on just in the last 48 hours, and to see that like Blackmagic already put their prices up, or were telegraphing that they were going to put their prices up, but of course the tariffs from China still remain. So presumably that means any product that says made in China on it is still going to have, and I think we're today sitting at 140% tariffs or something with China, because they went up even more. So I suppose what I would say as an advisory, if there's anything you've got your eye on that you want to buy, but buy the stock that's currently in the country, because that won't be taxed. And based on the roller coaster, maybe you don't have to wait too long and everything will be back to normal. It's in real, genuine, unpolitical terms, it's actually hard to know when this will change or not.
I mean, I think everything will work out. I mean, and I think from what I understand, Blackmagic does make some stuff here in Singapore, if I'm not mistaken. So, because they do have a big office here and a big presence here in Singapore as well. So I'm sure that they'll work everything out. And, you know, I mean, look, we're not getting into politics here, but these things will work themselves out. All the big leaders will get together, they'll work out these trade agreements, and I think we as consumers will be okay. I mean, I did notice that the Blackmagic prices were only effective for U.S. buyers. For everybody else, we have the same price as per normal. So, I mean, you in Australia, you here, and me in Singapore, we didn't see a difference in price. But, you know, I mean, look, we work with a lot of different brands from all over Asia, and they're making fantastic stuff. And I hope everybody works out for the best. That's the best. That's all I'm going to say in terms of that. You know what I mean? Because it's just way above my pay grade to understand all the nuances and all these things.
Speaking of supply and demand, Bobby, I see that potentially in Japan that the Z5 II is being noted as being in short supply. Now it's in real terms, it's no surprise to me that camera is probably selling very strongly. I'd also like to note that I don't think short supply in Japan means short supply in the world, because what I think happens is each region gets allocated their amount, and it's possible that it's just simply in Japan. And I've seen and read about this before, where short supply can happen in one region but not in another, and it's just simply due to allocations. So I wouldn't assume that means short supply globally, but it's interesting. I mean, it is a very powerful and compelling camera, and I really look forward to seeing how it sort of sells versus everything else in the coming months, because we don't really know what's happening from the other manufacturers, do we? Like, in regards to, for example, the Sony A7 IV, I hear that's maybe, I mean, it's all rumors, right? But that it's pushed back at the moment. And there's sort of not a lot of noise about an R6 II, which is kind of weird to me R6 III, because the R6 II is not that old. It's only something like 2 and a bit years old. And it seems a bit early to be updating that, I would have thought.
I don't think it's going to come so soon. I really think that there's this constant demand for new cameras and new tech. But I mean, I think the brands are usually on a 3 to 4 year cycle for most out there. And these cameras still do a great job taking photos and doing video, and if they do an upgrade, here's the thing, right? And I feel bad for some of these brands. They're kind of in this catch-22. They already make really good camera systems. And so when they do an update or they come up with a new version and it's only a slight increment, everybody, throws a fit. Oh, why doesn't it have this? Why doesn't it have that? But what do you expect? I mean, like the life cycle for these cameras can still go a long way. It's like buying a film camera years ago, man. I mean, they didn't update these things for 10, 12 years sometimes. You know what I mean? It was a film camera. They updated the lens, but the film camera was basically the same for a while.
Look, there's a lot to be said, and this is a very large discussion if we wanted to jump into it. But basically, YouTube grew. The YouTube camera community grew off the back of the rise of Sony. So mirrorless was arriving in 2013. I got my A7R, and that's when that 35mm alpha camera arrived, and basically that began the dramatic story that unfolded from 2013 to kind of today, where it's like, okay, Sony's come out punching and they're doing all this cool stuff. What is Nikon and Canon going to do? And basically we were in this 10-year saga from 2013 to 2023 of how's it all going to play out, you know, and there was lots of great narratives like Nikon's going to die and all this sort of stuff. And then we get to 2023 and it's like, okay, the low-hanging fruit that was able to come from moving to mirrorless has all been absorbed. You know, we've got all of those technological advancements, which is great video, great autofocus, easier to go high speed because shutters are becoming less and less relevant. All of that low-hanging fruit is gone. And now we're at a point where all the camera companies are settling down and we're getting much smaller, much more incremental advances. And every now and again, we'll get something like an A9 III, which is clearly a technological, you know, they're clearly trying something new, but in this case, it's a bit more niche. But ultimately, we are just not going to see what we've seen for the previous 10 years. And it doesn't matter which camera company you're talking about. And I think it's part of the reason why the Red acquisition by Nikon was so exciting, because it's kind of like, okay, we're not going to see much. Well, we will with this. This is going to create a bit more excitement and, you know, some drama and some narratives because this is a real, like that is two kind of titans sort of joining together and like, what will come of this, you know, and that's really exciting. But otherwise, I think our expectations need to be tempered that it's not going to be like the previous decade.
Right.
And that's my short version of that. So
I agree with you, Matt.
Yeah, man.
I agree with you on that.
Peace, brother.
Peace. We are in it. We are in it together. No, I agree with you. I mean, there will be moments of wow, but for the most part, we got to temper our expectations. And I think the YouTube crowd as a whole, I mean, all of us creators out there, we want the moon, but reality of it is we're not getting to the moon that fast. You know what I mean? And it's, you know, we want to keep things. I mean, I think what brands are looking at right now is keeping costs down to bring more people into their respective systems, giving them more for their money. We're seeing it with the Z5 II, you know, Sony's done it with their A7 series, and, you know, Canon obviously with the R6, R5 II respectively.
Well, and the R7 is like a lot of APS-C camera.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot.
You know what I mean? So I think we're going to probably see that be more of the trend than anything else. And then obviously design and something unique out there in the marketplace. Speaking of which, I do want to talk about, because we're talking about short supply, because you mentioned the Z5 II. For those of you who are on the fence about getting a Sigma BF, I got some news that, the pre-orders are way above their expectations.
Oh,
so
wow.
if you are looking to get a BF and you are like, well, I'll wait, you may be waiting a few months. So unless you got your pre-order in early, they are trying to churn them out. But man, it is going to be quite a rare camera, I think, for the first number of months out there. So which is great for Sigma. Congrats for them on that. That means there's a lot of demand. But it takes about 7 to 9 hours to make one block of aluminum. And you can imagine they want to make it multiple cameras at one go. So there is going to be a little bit of delay on that one. So
I hope they've got like 10 or 20 of those, those robots that are doing that at least, because then they can only make 10 or 20 per. I mean, I did see some numbers and I can't remember what they were, but it's laborious, like hard labor for them to get them out. Roger Manning has asked, hey, Matt, how is your dip into the Canon end of the pool going with the R6 you got a while ago? Yes. Great question. The hardest thing about having a YouTube channel, and Bobby can agree with this, is just the sheer difficulty of getting hold of gear and then being able to test it. Like that's probably the biggest problem. Like if I had the resources, I would have every camera brand, and I would like to bring every camera brand to you in my imitable style, right? And I totally would. So where it might look, where things might look like bias, it's kind of like, sure, it's the bias of my wallet more than anything. Like that's actually the number one factor. If I could test an A1 II and an A9 III, I totally would. And if I could get the 300 to 600 Sigma on the front and play, all of that stuff. And so it's a slow build. And you've got to juggle that slow build with, like, where is kind of your core community, and where did your channel begin? Like, you can't forget your roots at the same time. So you're kind of building your core and your roots. We're back at the gym now, aren't we, Bobby? And got to work on the core, man. And so you're working on the core at the same time as you're working on the edges. So I know that's a really long answer to the question, but I think it's really important to be transparent about kind of how we get to these places. And so, yeah, I mean, Bobby, Bobby and I were talking about this just before we came on air, which is like how many requests we get to do how many different types of things. We get requests for things that aren't even in photography. Like, I've got a request to make a video about an autonomous lawnmower. You're getting
that email as well too, right? I know. I'm getting that email. I'm like going,
yes.
How does tech, like, laptops and cameras translate to lawnmowers?
Exactly.
I have to just politely email them.
Plus, you've got to have a lawn, Bobby. I'm guessing you don't have a lawn. You live in an apartment.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So it's a bit tricky, but yeah, I mean, but bless their hearts for trying. You know what I mean? They're just spraying and praying and hoping somebody says, "Send me out that lawnmower, and we'll give you a good review." But yeah, no, I agree with you, Matt. It is also very challenging. Even for, I mean, I think I'm probably more fortunate being in Singapore, that it's a smaller market, and that in the camera community, there's not a lot of us that do reviews here for the most part that really dedicate the time. So I have more of a luxury of working with a variety of different brands than, let's say, if I was in a larger market like Australia, like where you're at, or America, for example. So I have pretty good relationships with most brands out there. But I mean, there are times though, but I can say that a lot of the brands in Asia don't see the value of YouTube the same that they see it in North America or Europe. They are primarily focused on TikTok and Instagram and even Facebook to this, currently. So it is challenging to get some products in. Like, I've been waiting to get some lenses and some cameras that are very popular in, but the department that handles those products just don't see the value in YouTube right now. So they see it, but they don't focus on it. Whereas in another market, that product would have been sent to me immediately. But yeah, so we battle those things, but we try our best to be as diversified as possible and try to give you as much content as possible from different brands that you guys ask for. But sometimes it is very hard. And, here's the thing though, too, I think you can attest to this, Matt, is that, in other markets, let's say North America or Europe, a lot of the brands are giving long-term giving the product out, you know what I mean? Let's say to a reviewer, they'll give them a Z6 III or a Zf, or they'll give them a Z8, and they can keep the camera and just create content. Or it can be Hasselblad. You're seeing a lot of that with Hasselblad right now as well, where they're giving a body and a lens to shoot a video or two. We don't get that opportunity here in Asia the same way. So it is, or, in the part of our world, I should say, because we're both in different countries, but hopefully that does change.
Well, it's okay. We're Australasia. We're actually Australasia. So we're part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, Australia. Say that again. That's a tongue twister.
It's Australasia.
Australasia. That's the word of the day. Australasia.
Yeah. It's a good one, isn't it? Have a couple of bourbons and then say Australasia.
That's a good drinking game right there. But yeah, I think probably where we come into play. So I mean, we try our best, but thank you guys for the support thus far. I mean, I guess I can probably speak for both of us that we really appreciate the support, and on both of our channels, helping us along, because the more that you comment, the more that you watch, the more brands see, and it also does get us on the map to get these products in. So yeah.
Yeah, so sorry, Roger, that might have been a bit of an offshoot of the question that you kind of asked, and to maybe address the other side of this question. I want to spend serious time on the ground with when you get into another brand, it's kind of like you got to start to think and understand what's their intent. Like, I'm really massive on what's the intent, because it's easy for me to go, wow, this doesn't suit me. But it's like, hold it a second. There's a team of engineers that have made a product with an intent. It might not be the intent that I like personally, or it might not have the intent for my use case, right? And I think that's something that people, you see a lot in this space, that people complain about a product, and I'm kind of like, well, but it's not really for your use case. So,
right.
It's okay. It's happy to you're happy to go, this product's not for me, but I think it's awesome. You know what I'm saying? So I want to spend more time with it, and I've got to get a few more lenses. That's the short version, and more videos coming in that space. I think it's really interesting when you can compare cameras of a similar tier. It's just, you know, like to get say the Canon and the Nikon and the Sony equivalents and get them together and then get say 2 lenses, that ends up being 3 cameras and 6 lenses that you've got to get together at the same time.
It's a lot of work.
It's actually it's a lot. Yeah. Anyway, you were going to say something, Bobby.
No, speaking of Canon, I just got done reviewing or testing out the Canon PowerShot V1. I will tell you, this is the best compact camera in the market, hands down. This thing is friggin' amazing. Absolutely. I was blown away using this camera, and I wasn't expecting to buy a compact camera. You know what I mean? I've been spoiled by using full frame and medium format and even APS-C. This camera is, wow. This is a huge hit for Canon. You want a good little compact camera that you can do really good video and very good photography in one body. This is it. This is it. I mean, people would say, what about the RX100 series from Sony? I'm like, no. This is the camera right now for compact. I haven't seen anything like this before. It's really that good.
It's interesting because in the 2000s, I chose Canon compacts versus the Nikon compacts at the time. And that was just purely based on kind of image quality and, you know, the overall picture. And so I was shooting Canon compacts and shooting Nikon DSLRs, you know, but that's the thing. I think that's the thing a lot of people don't realize about photographers is we get the tool to suit the use case, and that can be cross-brand. So at that time, I owned Canon compacts, Nikon DSLRs, and Hasselblad medium formats, and I was running those 3 systems from like 2005 through to 2015 or something like that, you know. And this was just to meet my different creative and client needs, and that's actually pretty normal for working photographers. Anyway, again, it's something we don't talk about much, I don't think, or enough.
A question
now,
here.
Do we have any?
Yeah, we got another question here from Dice is, do you guys think there will be a solution to have phase autofocus on sensor without color Bayer filter such as Q3? He's asking for monochrome. I guess so. I don't know.
Phase autofocus on a sensor without color Bayer filter. I suppose so.
I guess, yeah, why not? I think they can do that. I think that it doesn't have to do with the color system. I think probably it's more to do with how it reads a sensor, but I'm guessing that'll happen. But yes, I think Dai is a big fan of the Q system out there from Leica, and having a phase detect Q3M, if that ever does come about, would be very, very cool. I think that would be a very cool monochrome camera to get if they do come up with it. But, you know, they've come out with a monochrome for every version of the Q. So, you know, I guess that would be a safe bet to say that possibly would come, but as and when, who knows?
Now, speaking about general lens reviews and working across brands, last week we spoke about Song Raw, which was a Song Raw. Do you remember that? Yes,
I do.
From China.
I do.
What a name. I mean, is it time, Bobby, for us to break out into our Song Raw song about Raw?
You know, Matt, I'm going to let you take the lead on that one.
I did it my way. All right, I won't embarrass you, Bobby. So I'm going to lose him.
You actually got a good voice, man. You're a Broadway star. Here we go.
Yeah, start spreading the news. Anyway, I don't want people to leave. I reached out to Song Raw, and I'm hopefully going to get their new 50mm 1.2 sometime soon. And maybe we're talking. So look, and this is the thing. More and more stuff just keeps coming onto the market, and in this case, it's in the E mount, and you know, I think they said at the time of launch it's going to come for Z mount as well. So things just keep coming, and they keep coming across our desk, don't they, Bobby? And it's hard to know which way to go. Like like, okay, so this is a brand new third-party Chinese lens company. You know, do you dive in? And for me, the way I think about it is I want to dive in for the audience and go, hey, look, here's just another option. And
Sure.
50 mil 1.2 is pretty exotic, isn't it? Like
it's very exotic. I mean, and you don't get many of them out there. I mean, obviously we have first party lenses out there, but to see a brand new company come into play with a 51.2 is actually really enticing. So it'd be interesting to see what they come up with.
And am I dreaming this, or did I see Matt Granger with the 35 mil 1.2 from Viltrox in a video? I think I did. Have you? Does that come across your desk yet?
I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what you're talking about because, I mean, I know Viltrox is announcing a lens on the 16th of April, but I don't know what that could be. And even if I knew, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Gotcha. Okay. 16th of April. I'm gonna set. Well, my guess is that
did he show that? Did he show a lens like that?
I think he did. He had it on the front of the A1 II, and he was talking about best Sony camera ever made, and it's like, yeah, for sure it is. Like, absolutely. And anyway, I got to go back and revisit that, but I'm pretty sure the cat is out of the bag, baby. So hypothetically, Bobby, you've had a bit of experience with 35 mm 1.2 lenses.
Well,
are you excited about another one coming into the world?
I think this will be what we're going to be seeing from a lot of brands coming up forward is the 1.2. I think the 1.4 has been, there's been 1.4 lenses out there for a period of time, and the only company that actually has a 1.2 lineup right now in the 35, 50, and 85 is Nikon. But I think we will probably see a lot more come into play, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see everybody's take on it. How the 1.2s fare. Will they be as big as Nikon's? Will they be smaller, more compact? Will they have the same kind of optical performance? Will they even have better optical performance? I think it's going to be very interesting to see. I would venture to say I would like to see something from Sony as well, because they don't have an 85 1.2 nor a 35 1.2. I mean, Sigma's already sort of, the CEOs announced that they're coming up with the second version of their 35 1.2 later on in the year. So yeah, I mean, well, let's see how it comes. I mean, at the end of the day, do we need a 1.2 lens? I think they're great to have. I don't think how many people will actually maximize the 1.2 all the time. I don't know. What about you? Because you own the 1.2, right? What has been your take on using the 1.2 as a daily driver, or, for the most part?
Well, yeah. So I back in the DSLR and film days, I was like, my eye loves short depth of field. So I love the separation. So I bought all of the high-end Nikon 1.4s back in the day. And I suppose the thing about those lenses, which we've talked about at length, was, yes, they're 1.4, but really they don't perform so well at 1.4. You've got to stop them down a little bit in order to get rid of the chromatic aberration, and blah, blah, blah. Everybody knows.
Sure.
Now we live in this world where the 35, the 50, and the 85 1.2s, Zs, you are not penalized for using them wide open. The difference between DSLR top of the range primes and mirrorless, especially these Z ones, which, as you said, they're the only set of 3 in the market at the moment. Phenomenal. So I use them all the time. I now have started using for client like event work. Most recently I took the 135 1.8 to be a 70 to 200, and I used DX to get it out to 200, right? So I flicked between 45 and 20 megapixels, and then I used the 35 mil 1.2. And for event, it's astonishing because you can work in even lower light than you ever could with a zoom lens. They're terrifically sharp, and you're just getting these beautiful renderings. Like, you're getting renderings that are sort of far beyond what event photography should be. So I don't use my zooms very much anymore. Those lenses are phenomenal. And the idea that you're now potentially going to get, like we talked about before, this lenses like this, and of course Viltrox have stated that they're bringing 35 1.2 51. We know it's coming. To bring that at a price point that might be something like a third of the cost to the market, I think it's very exciting for the market as a whole. So that's how I feel about it. Yeah.
Is Alex just came on board and just said, I'm impressed with the 135 from Viltrox, and when that 35 1.2 comes out, I'll probably just jump on that. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that performs. You know what I mean? Because there's really not a lot of lenses to compare it to. You know, you could say the old Sigma, the Nikon version of it. Will it be as big as the Nikon version, or will it be smaller? You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm guessing it can't be bigger.
If I'm not imagining things, it was smaller on the one I saw in Granger's video. So
if he put that on his video, I am shocked.
Well, do you want me to? Do you want to just fill while I have a quick look?
Yeah, take a look real quick here, because I mean, I would be quite shocked. But I mean, look, if they put the same optical performance they put in the 135 1.8, and they bring this to it, let's say a Rumor 35 1.2, I think this will really turn some heads, especially with whatever price point. I'm interested to see what the price point would be, because the 135 at $899 USD is a really good price for what you're getting. And if the 35-1.2, if that is in fact coming, comes in around that price or less, I don't know, hard to say. Wow, that's going to shake some people up here. But again, I mean, we have to wait and see if the rumors are true. Yeah, I mean, here on this platform, I think Matt and myself, we try to keep to, you know, what we know and what we don't know, and so far we don't know too much. Yeah. So yeah,
I can confirm that is the case. I'm looking at the transcript of the video.
Oh, he mentions it too.
Yep.
He talks about. Oh,
well, it's on camera.
Well, someone's getting an email.
A1 Mark II testing out the Viltrox 35 1.2. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, so there you go. It's in the wild. So Bobby, I look forward to you and I getting our copies whenever they arrive.
Wow.
Obviously this is for E-mount at the moment.
I would be very interested to find out if they don't get someone gets an email.
Very good. Maybe we should change topics. For some reason, it was like, is it out in the wild yet? Like, I was a bit confused, and it's like, and here it is. But now you're telling me no, it's kind of not. But anyway, so that's very good. God bless everybody, and you know, may your goat be plentiful. Bobby, as I don't know where the last hour just went.
Your goat be plentiful.
Well, you know, don't you want goat milk to make a great cheese and yogurt? Sorry, I'm just changing the subject.
Yes,
it's the best. It's the first thing I could come up with. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So are there any final questions before we laugh ourselves out of here? My apologies to everybody out there.
No, I think Matt, I think everybody kind of went quiet on us for a bit, and they thought, okay, let these two just go and just talk about it to their own right. So I guess it is what it is. But you know what? I think we'll wrap this up here, because we got to get on with our day. You've got a lot of lenses on your desk you need to get reviews out for. I probably got a few things on my desk I got to get some reviews out as well for. And we want to say thank you so much for the support. And by the way, in terms of where this podcast is going, Matt and I have been discussing this, and obviously we've been doing 1 week on his channel, 1 week on my channel, vice versa. And we realized that for a lot of you out there, it's kind of confusing of where to go for each week. So I think after long discussions, Matt, right? Long discussions over our bourbon and wine and whiskey all at the same time, we've decided that we're going to keep this going on Matt's channel. Yeah, and goats as well, because goat milk is very important, especially in Australia, from what I understand. We are, especially Australian photographers in Hong Kong who don't adhere to embargoes. But yes, we will. We will be continuing this on Matt's channel going forward. So if you are looking to check out the BAM podcast, Bobby and Matt will be having it over at Matt's channel as well. So guys, if you are interested in following us, we did want to say thank you for the support. Subscribe, like, helps us out a lot. And we will see you next week and on future weeks on Matt's channel.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you for that announcement. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you being here and joining the conversation. And again, we'd love to hear, if you're watching this after the fact, not live, please write in the comments, what are the sort of things you're interested in us talking about? Are you happy for us to just riff for an hour on whatever's going on, or do you like a mix of this and that? And yes, we will be bringing guests on. That'll absolutely happen. So yeah, but please do let us know in the comments below. any thoughts that you have. Thank you so much from me. Everybody out there around the world, have an amazing weekend. Whether you're in a tariff-free or not tariff-free zone, you know, may it be beautiful and plentiful.
There we go.
And your goat.
Yes. All right, guys. Take care. Bye.
See you, everybody.